What are some things people don't realize would happen if there was actually a zombie outbreak? Story 1. I would imagine that the diseases would arise from so much rotting flesh, wandering around would be worse than the zombies. Also, every grocery store would become a gigantic mold spore. You're assuming there is still food left in there. If you live in an area with natural disasters, you would become aware of how fast people would clear that out, even when they have to pay money for it. It looks like the apocalypse. If you ever want to be rich, sell bread and milk in Oklahoma from April to June. If the weatherman so much as mentions the possibility of a tornado, that shit disappears off the shelves. Story 2. The government wouldn't collapse as quick as most people imagine. Most movies depict the entire nation's structure crumbling in a matter of weeks, sometimes days. This is pretty illogical considering how large most nations' militaries are and how many options and opportunities the government would have to contain the virus in the first place. Martial law is a powerful device. Agreed. In the World War Z novel, most of the world's governments survive to regroup and push back. In every movie or TV show, everything goes to shit at the snap of a finger. To be fair, the military was pretty useless at first in World War Z and left many people behind. The government may not have fully collapsed, but to everyone east of the Rocky Mountains, the effect was the same. That was the worst part of that book for me. The author clearly doesn't have much knowledge of what bullets actually do to people. Sure, a 5.56 isn't going to kill a zombie if you shoot it in the chest, but a 7.62 or a 50 cal laying down grazing fire into a horde of Zeds is definitely going to shatter bones and tear muscles into uselessness, letting the riflemen go and finish the crawlers. The bombs being useless is the dumbest part of it all. Are they as effective against zombies? Nah, but the overpressure at the impact site is still going to absolutely wreck a ton of them. Story 3. Zombies would decompose to the point where they can't move and die in a couple of months or years. It would be over pretty quickly. Depends on the zombie. 28 days later, or Zombieland zombies aren't dead, they're just infected humans. In World War Z, book, not movie, it's explained that the zombie virus kills all the bacteria and other things that usually cause decomposition. 1. If it's infected humans, they will die of starvation or thirst even sooner. 2. The human body needs some bacteria to function. Even if it doesn't decompose, it can still starve. Fight me. Zombies don't care about the laws of the universe because they're not real. Zombie wins. Story 4. A lot of people would die from zombie bites, but even more would die from diseases only treatable with antibiotics, insulin, and chemotherapy. When the world collapses, everything collapses. You might dodge a zombie bite, but then die from a scratch on your leg from where you brushed against a rusty nail to make that dodge happen. Stephen King addresses this in The Stand, where he says, paraphrased, that the cruelest cut of the plague is the secondary wave of deaths among the survivors from things that normally wouldn't be a problem. One scenario was a guy swimming in Lake Michigan who steps on a nail and gets tinnitus and tries to amputate his infected foot. I think it said up to a quarter of the people in the first world countries died after the plague. Story 5. That in places that get a real goddamn winter, the zombies or infected would be rendered immobile or dead by the cold freezing the water in their bodies, or that they would be torn apart by wildlife almost immediately in rural areas. I came here to say this. I live in Edmonton, Canada. It gets below freezing at night and regularly for 8 months of the year. That is a 66% chance that the zombie apocalypse doesn't last a day. We'll be fine. Story 6. People don't realize how quickly it would burn itself out. What gives humans any competitive edge, evolutionarily speaking, is the very thing zombies lack, the brain. Humans without brains are a C-tier animal at best. That will have some luck and initial outbreak of feeding and fighting, but it will be bested by deer and foxes. This says nothing about the continued decomposition that will, inevitably, render locomotive abilities useless, humanity's second biggest strength. Zombies are humanity minus anything that gives them an advantage at anything. Why are we afraid of them again? Story 7. That zombies are basically the worst possible life form. The one species that is most willing and able to kill them is also their only food source and their only means of reproduction. Zombies are even worse than vampires, and vampires are not a good species either. Sure, they're strong and durable, but they cannot be anywhere with sunlight. You know, the stuff that covers 50% of the earth at all times. Technically, in the original myths, sunlight didn't do anything to European vampires. During the day, they return to their graves and go into a dormant state that made them almost indistinguishable from a corpse. You could detect them, but I think the only foolproof way involved a white horse and a virgin boy. We might find a use of the end cells after all. And for some specimens, even the day and night cycle wasn't a barrier. Dracula himself could move about in the daytime with only a slight reduction in his powers. Presumably, he either knew some kind of magic or occult learning that let him do that, or that his vampire physiology was old enough that he could walk about unimpeded. Story 8. A lot of people with minor health issues would be more disadvantaged than people realize. Take a peanut allergy, for example. In a zombie apocalypse where food is scarce, how can you ensure that what you're eating hasn't come in contact with peanuts? People with gluten allergies would have it even worse. So many zombie apocalypse staples would be inedible to them. People with relevant survival skills would be rare, since most people have jobs that wouldn't help them at all in a zombie apocalypse. Office workers, waitresses, etc. The mechanics, carpenters, and farmers would be extremely valuable, even if they just did it as a hobby. They would be fought over, maybe even enslaved. Story 9. Imagine breaking your glasses while fighting off zombies. Without my glasses, I wouldn't be able to tell the difference between a zombie and a survivor unless they're within arm's reach. Forget about sneaking around. I need my fellow survivors to identify themselves so I don't attack them. Story 10. Most people assume they'll be one of the survivors holed up in a Walmart or Costco being badass with a crossbow when really they'd be bitten and infected while on the toilet or pumping gas or some mundane shit. Someone slowly stumbles towards you as you're shitting. No. Story 11. People would stop mowing their lawns. My HOA would be pissed. You'd still get fined even during the zombie outbreak. I really want a TV show where the entire suburban neighborhood turns into zombies except one guy. Then he gets harassed by the zombie HOA constantly for zombie-related home violations. Story 12. Gasoline has a shorter shelf life than most people assume, so after a year nobody would really be driving anywhere. Bikes and horses, baby. Bikes and horses. If you can't properly care for them, horses also have a shorter shelf life than most people assume. Story 13. The question is, will the zombies run like in Zombieland or just walk slowly like in The Walking Dead? If they run, people that don't exercise are fucked. Question, do unfit people make slow, clumsy zombies? Story 14. There will still be too many half-empty water bottles laying around everywhere. I think you mean half-full bottles. You gotta be optimistic to survive the apocalypse. Story 15. If you lost or break your glasses, good luck finding the right pair when you raid an optical shop. That's not fair. There was time now. Well, at least I can still read the large printed books. Story 16. Zeppelins are back in fashion. Only if the levees break. I think there's been a communication breakdown. Story 17. Everybody tends to forget about dental hygiene during apocalypse. It's something we take for granted today, and something we won't have during an apocalypse. Story 18. Probably bad hygiene of the zombies leading to a faster spread of other diseases that would go around infecting people along with the new diseases we can't really cure or prepare for. Story 19. Flies. So many flies. Can the flies spread the virus? Oh boy. Oh yes, and the ravenous taste for rotting flesh. Story 20. Zombies get skinny, so their pants would fall off and a bunch of zombie penises would be swinging around. What do you think zombie coochie feels like? Story 21. Zombies don't put the seat down when they're done. Wow, it's bad enough that they're a zombie, but a rude zombie is too much. Story 22. The military wouldn't get overrun as easily as shows and movies show.